Hey YouTube, it's Nerdcat and welcome back to Nerdtastic Halloween. So for this video's look, I decided to try and recreate a character from one of my favorite horror movies, Cabin in the Woods. So Cabin in the Woods came out in 2012 and it is definitely one of my favorite horror movies for how different it is. So spoilers, if you guys do not want to hear the plotline of Cabin in the Woods, please go to this timestamp to pass over it. You good? Okay. So, Cabin in the Woods is my favorite horror movie because it is an entire horror movie that pretty much tries to go over the tropes of horror movies and say that it's all been planned out. Like it's a giant conspiracy theory, and I love it so much. Here's a quick rundown of what Cabin in the Woods is. You have your 5 main characters, 2 girls and 3 guys, all college students going off on a vacation to a remote cabin in the woods. Unbeknownst to them, there's a bunch of horrors awaiting them. They somehow release a bunch of backwoods zombies that begin to knock them off one by one. All while this is going on, you find out that it is actually being controlled by a bunch of people in a lab for reasons that are much more nefarious than just killing random college students. But I don't want to go too far into detail because I really think everyone should watch this movie. It is definitely a cult classic, or at least a cult classic to me. The cast is great and the gore in it is beautiful and there are just so many monsters. It's amazing. Anyway, with that many monsters that are plaguing this movie, I decided to just choose one, and I chose the Sugarplum Fairy. Now, this character is literally only on screen for maybe a total of 15 to 20 minutes, not even, but it's such a cool character that I really wanted to try and recreate it. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Voiceover Jamie, and I'll see you in the video.
Hey, okay, so let's start this off. I made my piece into 2 pieces so that it was a little bit easier to apply. So with this, I'm just going to take our old trusty friend Pros-Aide, apply it to the prosthetic, and then wait till it goes clear and tacky. Before I applied any prosthetic or adhesive, I did cover my eyebrows and hairline in washable glue, because if you're using any kind of adhesive or latex and it gets on anything with hair, it will rip it out. So washable glue is your best friend. Anyway, I chose Cabin in the Woods because I always found that movie very interesting. I like that it kind of goes over the horror movie tropes and gives answers to it. And I chose our friend Sugarplum Fairy, as you can see in this concept art, because I really thought it was such a cool design and I really wanted to try and recreate it. I will admit that mine is definitely not screen accurate, but I think it still gets the character across. So here I'm just putting down some more Pros-Aide for all the edges that I missed. This piece I actually was able to thin out the edges a little bit more. There's still some rough pieces, obviously, because I'm still trying and learning as I go. But I do think I did a better job on this one than my past one. So just laying down some more Pros-Aide to stick it all down. This piece was also quite easy to make. It's just, again, liquid latex, cotton balls, and then some acrylic fake nails, which were not that expensive, so that helped as well. Now I'm just trimming the edges. Always be careful with scissors because they are sharp, but I just felt like it was just easier to trim these than try and lay them down as it is so close to my throat. Now we're going to go in with some liquid latex on all of the edges. So most of these edges were pretty flat, so I didn't have to use the cotton padding, but in this area specifically, the edge was a little bit more rough, so I did go in with some cotton pads and the liquid latex to try and smooth it out. I will admit there's still some rough edges, but it's all a learning curve. You know, some edges are smoother than others, but one step at a time. So I do put the liquid latex and some cotton pads around the entire edge of everything to smooth everything out. And I did paint my pieces before putting it on my face because I realized it would be so much more difficult to try and paint this while on my face, and it was already difficult trying to paint the small pits that I had to do. Here I am taking some cotton balls that I rolled out and putting it with some liquid latex to try and make a, like, I guess a lip around the teeth, because I realized the way I made it, it was a lot wider than the actual image character, so I wanted to try and make it look a little more realistic, quote unquote. So I took some liquid latex and then took cotton balls that I rolled out and I trimmed it around the edge of the gum line of the teeth to kind of mimic like if lips were pulled back from your gum line. Kind of give that ridge to cut between the skin and the teeth. I think adding this definitely helped since I didn't give myself enough room to show actual skin, so I think this kind of helped give the illusion a little bit more grasp. And I did this ridging all around the entire prosthetic. Now I'm just going in and putting down a dark blackish red color on the inside, as this whole part of my face where my eyes and my nose and my mouth is will be technically the illusion of being inside the mouth. So I just covered everything in the same kind of dark blackish red color as I painted on the prosthetic. It started off a little too light, so I had to go back in a couple of times to darken it. I still think it was a little too light, so I probably would have made it even darker if I wanted to recreate this again. But so yeah, I just painted the entire inner circle first before applying the second part of the prosthetic, making sure to cover everything in this reddish black color. Now that my face is completely covered, I take the second part of the prosthetic and I get ready to place it in there. I had already put the Pros-Aide on it when I applied Pros-Aide to the first piece, so it was already ready and tacky. I did lose a couple of teeth, but those were easily fixed later on with just adhering them with some glue. So yeah, so here I'm just placing it in. You see, I did place it a little too high as it was a little hard to get in between. Again, if I was going to recreate this, I would probably make that ring smaller and probably move it down a little farther. Now I'm just going in and touching up all of the kind of crease lines in between the sets of teeth to make everything darker and more coherent. I did leave the tip of my nose a little bit lighter. I was trying to make it look like the tongue, because you can see her tongue in the movie. But I don't think it really worked because my teeth weren't, I didn't have that depth, so it kind of looks a little off. Again, I haven't gotten the gist of illusion just yet, but I still think it works. Then I go in with a pinkish yellow tone to go around on that cotton ring that I made to make it look more like skin or the inner part of your mouth where your lip is. So it's kind of that palish yellowy pink color. And I did that all the way around. Then I took some foundation and I just put it all around the outer part of my face. Just going around every part that, isn't the teeth or gum line, and making sure to cover up the liquid latex. I didn't show it in the video. I didn't realize I didn't record it, but after I applied the foundation, I did go in with a brown eyeshadow and kind of made creases around the lip line, just to make it kind of look like it was shifted. So I just kind of shadowed different areas around there as well.
And that's pretty much it. Let's go to the full reveal.
So yeah, as luck would have it, my camera didn't film me doing an outro, so here's Voiceover Jamie for an outro. Overall, I am really happy with how this turned out. Are there some flaws? Yes. Do I think the ring should have been a little smaller and placed differently on my face? Yes. And could the paint job be a little bit better? Also yes. But overall, I think I did a pretty good job at recreating the Sugarplum Fairy from Cabin in the Woods. I think if I went out in like a tutu and ballerina outfit with that on, if someone had seen the movie, I think they would definitely know what I was trying to be. But even if they didn't, it's still a creepy look, and I think it came out pretty cool. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you guys liked it, please hit that like button. If you want to see more Nerdtastic Halloween, please hit that subscribe. And if you're ever so inclined, please leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this video. And if you've ever seen Cabin in the Woods, which monster would you not want to go up against? Anyway, that's it for me. Until next time, as always, stay nerdy, my friends. Later!